What would you do about Trey Lance now? Jordan in Union City. Hey, Jordan, you're on with Willard and JD. What are you doing?
All right, fellas. Good afternoon. How y'all doing?
What's up?
Well,
all right. Well, so two things with that real quick. First and foremost, I know I've heard a lot of things on both sides of it, right? In terms of the interceptable passes thing, right? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Well, first and foremost, obviously it does. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I wanted to say that not only, do y'all, in terms of, people that review it, look over it, and things like that, do you notice it? Defenses notice it. And they get that much more excited when they see certain things that aren't capitalized on from players in film and on the previous week, right? So I think the week next coming up is the Broncos. Am I right about that?
That's correct, on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So guess what? There are a lot of players, depending on who plays and how much they play, there are going to be a lot of people on that fringe side of making a roster or not, or making a starting spot or not. They're going to see some of those throws that Trey Lance made last week, and they're going to be chomping at the bit to try to make things happen. And that's what happens, in terms of a week-to-week basis. So absolutely, interceptable passes they do matter just in terms of if anybody's questioning that.
Well,
now,
Jordan,
in terms of
no, real quick, you're right, but can I add another reason? What was happening in that game yesterday is the Raider defenders were sitting on certain routes that they knew that Trey was going to throw, and that's why being a quarterback in the NFL is so damn hard. You don't have to just go through the progressions and be accurate. You also have to basically be able to hide what you're about to do. Or else they're going to get there, and Trey was not doing a good job of that yesterday. But go ahead, Jordan. You had more.
Well, no, you're not wrong about that, right? I mean, and again, I guess that's what part comes in. I'm not trying to go too far into what happened just Sunday on this, but that's what happens, like you said, when you're a quarterback. Obviously, when it gets deeper and deeper into things, not only do you have to get to what you want to get to, you have to find a way to manipulate the defense of not letting them know exactly what you want to get to. Because, everyone watches tape, everything about all that. Now, here's the hard part about it, though. With Trey Lance, the other person that he's trying to beat out in terms of, second string, again, I'm not even going to the Brock Purdy side of things. Who he's trying to beat out for the second string quarterback, he also has that reputation of putting interceptable passes out there. So that's the hardest part, and the most unfortunate part for him is, if that person, talking about Sam Darnold, looks better and doesn't put certain turnover-worthy plays out there, I think that's the phrase that y'all put it.
Yep.
If he doesn't put those turnover-worthy plays out there, but you do, that's hard to defend in terms of even being someone that wants to see Trey, maybe be a starter and be in the highest position possible. It's hard to defend if Sam Darnold also goes out there too with his turnover reputation, but he doesn't put the ball in harm's way as much as you do.
Yeah, Jordan, thanks so much. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I guess you can. A lot of people, I think, we associate turnovers with experience or inexperience, right? You're going to throw fewer as you go. That's where the conversation you brought up earlier to me gets interesting, where you're like, experience is helpful for a backup. Well, right, but Sam Darnold, 17 TDs and 15 interceptions as a rookie. And then you want that number to get better. And it did a little bit the next year, 19 and 13. Then he goes 9 and 11, 9 and 13. Last year, 7. It's not getting any better.
Right.
So then you're like, well, that's just who it is. Or was he with the Jets and the Panthers? And we're about to see a different Sam if he gets onto the field.
There's no question that part of the reason the 49ers looked to bring in Sam Darnold was the fact that they thought his skill set could perform better than it has to this point in his career in their system with their talent. They don't sign, that's why you look to go get him. And so, that's something to, they view him as, hey, it would be easy for this guy to, we do this, this, and this, because every franchise, every organization believes they can do that with everybody.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers especially believe that, and Kyle Shanahan believes it with certain types of quarterbacks. Hey, there's certain guys that and this guy's good to go. And that doesn't mean he's going to be a future Hall of Famer, but he can be a capable, NFL quarterback that you can win with, and I think Darnold was somebody they targeted.
You know what?
With that in mind.
Yeah, something I wrestle with NFL quarterbacks, which is especially the ones that we consider great. It's like, would that travel? Okay, would the greatness just like whatever team you're on, you're going to be great, or does the context of the whole situation, the coaching, the play calling, the offensive line, how much does that matter? And I think obviously both matter. You would never say neither matters, but I can give you examples of both. You know, Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, and the Patriots have not been the same since, and Tom Brady won a Super Bowl the very next year. And the Bucs were suddenly great. And you're like, wow, that guy is truly great. Like, he just wherever he goes, the organization is going to follow. But then there's other guys who's like, God, like Matt Stafford never won a playoff game. And then he moved addresses, poof, Super Bowl.
Well, we're about to find out with Jimmy Garoppolo. He'll be the ultimate.
That's another good one. Oh God,
we're about to.
Well, we got to enter. We got to enter that into this whole thing.
Well, because if he wins with the Raiders
in that division,
you know they go 10-7 with Jimmy G.
Oh God,
and McDaniels, who look like a disaster.
Or what if he's awful?
Well, if he's awful, then he overachieved here.
Right, but those who would say he's a product of the system would then be proven correct, and then you start to wonder. Again, I could take that if that became a fact. I could take that and have it mean all, and people will have it mean all kinds of things for the 49ers. If Jimmy Garoppolo is bad for the Raiders, do you want to know that that's bad for Trey Lance? Because the perception will be, well, my gosh, any quarterback should be absolutely at their best when they're with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Because and there is some truth to this, everyone he's worked with elevates. So I wonder if this is a fear factor in any trade conversation with Trey Lance. Because someone's like, dude, if you can't play with Kyle Shanahan, you know what I mean? What the hell is Brian Daboll going to do with you or whatever?
And maybe. No, that's possible. I mean, I can see, and I'm not at the point where it's like you got to give up on him.
No, neither am I. Yeah.
But I think you can see where maybe this system doesn't fit him. Like, I think you can, watching it, I think
then what system would? Like, what parts of the system do you think it is? And Orlovsky said the same thing you're saying. But, like, if that's the case, what does he need in a system that's different?
I think he needs the ability to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. And I don't mean the deep ball, but the intermediate ball. Like, I think he needs to – I just think he needs – I don't know. He needs – I don't have a full –
Right.
I haven't really broken down the argument on it, but I can see where, you know, the boot game and the stretch and the constant movement and the timing. It's just, no, drop back and have somebody run a, 15-yard out and hit them. Like that to me is more that, like, arm strength a little bit more down the field. Because he does at practice when it gets to that point, those have been his best throws.
Sure.
His best throws have been straight drop, almost straight drop back, look, dude's open, hit him 10, 15 yards down.
That's what he did yesterday to Conley, twice.
Those are his best throws in practice.
Yeah.
Where it's not great is, play action, boot left, he's looking, people are in his face, airmail Werner, or low ball Dwelly, or look off, don't see Bell, who's running free. That's what it looked like yesterday. I don't know. It's maybe maybe there's something to, and I don't know, it being a little more simplified. I don't know, but just less timing centric.
Timing
is probably the right way to put it.
That's the word I think.
Less timing centric.
Yeah, because it's funny. Like the story goes, at least when you say about maybe simplifying it a little bit. The story goes at the draft. One of the things that Kyle Shanahan fell in love with was the way that Trey Lance was able to look at the board and break down what Kyle's complexities were. Trey's
incredibly smart.
Right.
I don't doubt that he saw it on the board.
The brain has it.
You got the. It's not. Yes,
the body's got to execute.
The brain has it, but you got to do it on the field.
Yeah.
And so that could be part of why it's not working.
Let's go to Orlando in the city. Hey, Orlando, you're on with Willard and JD. What's up?
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Good.
And I was just listening to some of the comments that you guys were making. I have to agree with the gentleman that just spoke about what Trey Lance brings to the possibility of a 49er offense. But let's just go back. I think that Shanahan finds himself in the position that he does in an overreaction to a missed throw in the Super Bowl. So he needed somebody who could throw the long ball because the 49ers have been so defined by the short balls that a lot of corners and safeties in the league are sitting down on their routes and stuff. And it gets kind of crowded and they can't move the ball all the time, although they did have kind of a nice offense. But where it regards Trey Lance, I look at Trey Lance and what I see is a quarterback more along the lines of skill set. So please don't, go too far with what I'm saying. Of somebody like Jim Kelly or Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford or Trevor Lawrence, somebody who can deliver the ball in the 15 to 20-yard zones where the 49ers don't usually work because they don't have anybody who can do that. I also would like to question the other gentleman. Did he see the same offensive line that I saw last night or whenever the game was? Because I saw consistent breakdowns. If you're challenging somebody to throw, I would rather he didn't throw, in those situations because he was so much under pressure. Can you see one of those quarterbacks that I mentioned? Once again, Jim Kelly, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Nate Sethwell, not Nate Sethwell, but anyway, succeeding in with that type of line that he had last night.
Well, Orlando, here's what I would say to that. Nobody thinks that the offensive line, and by the way, that's not even the offensive line. That was all second string. Nobody thinks they did a good job yesterday. And I think everybody would look at all the quarterbacks and at least give them that there were some difficult scenarios that developed in the framework of that game. Now, that said, if you're of the opinion that explains away everything that happened, you're wrong. Like, Trey Lance did not handle that well, and handling pressure well is part of quarterbacking in the NFL, i.e., Sam Darnold faced with the exact same backup offensive lineman, and so did Brandon Allen, and looked much less jittery and much more comfortable. There were plays that Trey could have gotten rid of the ball before that pressure got to him, and he didn't do it. Taking sacks is part of what you can't do as an NFL quarterback unless it's absolutely necessary. It's a major negative play, and it's how you get hurt. So, look, is it all on Trey? No. But as I've said a couple of times, there's nothing you can do today to make yesterday okay for Trey Lance.
Yeah, it was
There's
just
nothing you can do.
It was an L, like for the battle or the competition or whatever you want to call it. It was an L. They're gonna have 3 practices this week and another game Saturday, and 3 practices next week and another game a week from Friday, and ultimately they'll sort out who the better quarterback has been through all of it. But yesterday was an L for Trey.
I know you don't have the answer to this yet. I just wonder what you think. You think Brock's playing Saturday?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think he's probably playing the last one.
You think he's going to play in the last one?
Yeah. If I had to guess.
And that's against the Chargers?
Correct.
And is that's
at
the
home.
Following Friday?
Yeah, it's 5 days after. But
okay.
then still
only
2.5 weeks before the season.
Right, but it's only a little bit over a week and a half away.
Yeah. It's 10 days away or 11 days away.
Okay. By the way, we hadn't played this one yet, and I want to. The recent Kyle Shanahan comments from his conference call today. He was asked if Trey Lance's hesitation, his holding of the ball too long, is because he has not been in live game action in a while.
It could be. Yeah, I've had reps in a lot of games that come out and are hesitant at times too. I mean, that's also the hard thing about preseason. You don't get to play a whole game to work through those things. And there's a number of times last year that any quarterback we played with comes down there a little hesitant early. And I think he had a couple of those and a couple bad sacks, and our offense didn't get going, and kind of builds up. And I was glad that he was able to fight through that and make some plays there at the end. And I wish he could have stayed out longer, but we stuck with our plan and made sure not to panic and make any bad decisions for him.
I don't know if it could be is quite the answer you want from your head coach. Like, yeah, I've had that happen before. Or like, if that was a true observation that Kyle had, where he's like, look, I just saw rust. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, do you know how many quarterbacks going into this last week had seen live game action recently? None of them. It's August.
Yeah.
None of them have played since February at the latest.
He answered that as, it could be, but I hope it's not.
But it shouldn't be.
And yeah.
Right.
But I really hope it's not that.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough one. Jonathan in the city here with Willard and JD. Hey, Jonathan, what are you doing?
Hey, just listening to you guys and making my masterpiece, chicken adobo.
Oh, dang.
Hey, like you guys said, right? I mean, Trey, I don't know if he's ever going to get there, but still looking like a very stiff learning curve. I mean, at the very best, he's a number 3. Thank God we got Darnold. But until now, I mean, this is just me seeing what I see. He's just a second or 2 or 3 seconds late, man. And as a quarterback, you need to be on point. You need to be seeing things in your first step, your second step, and your third step. By the time you hit that third step, it's ball out. Because as a coach, Kyle Shanahan, right, he keeps talking about getting in rhythm. Well, if the guy who's pulling the trigger is a scramble, I don't know what to do guy, your offense is never going to be scheduled. As a play caller, you're never going to be in rhythm. That's why Kyle, you know, he's happy that he's found a guy like Brock. Because Brock, it seemed like even, you know, a small sample size, you could say that, but for me, it's not. Because what the guy showed us is he's advanced. His processing is, you know, up to speed. You know, he sees his out. He sees how to bail. He sees how to get away from people. Hey, man, I watched that last play in the Super Bowl. If he didn't get injured, he got a guy wide open. I don't know if it's Kittle or Kyle Juszczyk right in the middle. He's wide open. He just got injured. So I don't know why people keeps on calling up this radio station and telling us, hey, Trey Lance should be given an opportunity because why? You saw the guy throw an 80-yard bomb in practice? Hello? That's practice, people. Let's just get it in your head. The guy, at this point, is no good.
Jonathan, thanks. I do think he makes an interesting point here. Here's something I think people forget. Because has it been a small sample size for Brock? Sure. But let's not act like it was 2 games. It wasn't like the 49ers acquired Jimmy Garoppolo based on a quarter of what Brock Purdy has done.
Yep.
And I think it's important to remember the way that Brock Purdy's 8 games unfolded. Do you remember, like, after each game, it was like, but he hasn't done this. And then the next game, it'd be like, okay, right? It was like, first, we haven't beat a good team. And then it was like, all right, you haven't done it on the road. Okay, you haven't done it against the division. All right, can you come from behind?
Sure.
Raiders, New Year's Day.
I'm going. I was going through all of them.
Okay, great, Brock. Can you do it in the playoffs? We ran out of stuff. The answer was yes to everything.
That's it. The only other box was, can you get to the Super Bowl?
Can you win it all? Right.
And or win it. And they didn't really get a chance.